5 nighttime habits after 60 that may affect your heart health. Most people imagine a heart attack as something sudden and unmistakable. They picture crushing chest pain, pain traveling down the left arm, difficulty breathing, and then a dramatic collapse. Sometimes that is exactly what happens. But real-life heart problems do not always follow the movie version. Some cardiovascular events can begin with symptoms that are mild, unusual, or easy to dismiss. In older adults, warning signs may sometimes include unusual fatigue, shortness of breath, nausea, sweating, dizziness, pressure in the chest, or discomfort in the back, jaw, neck, or upper abdomen. And there is another part of heart health that deserves attention. What happens during the hours before you go to sleep? Your heart does not simply switch off at bedtime. Your body continues regulating blood pressure, heart rate, breathing, temperature, blood sugar, and circulation throughout the night. For many people over 60, those systems may already be affected by conditions such as high blood pressure, diabetes, sleep apnea, excess weight, arterial stiffness, or heart disease. That does not mean nighttime automatically becomes dangerous. It means your evening routine can be an opportunity to support healthier sleep and cardiovascular function. Today, we are going to look at 5 common nighttime habits that may work against your heart health and practical ways to improve them. These are not magic tricks. They are simple habits that can complement the medical care you already receive. And importantly, if you take prescription medication or have a heart condition, do not change your treatment based on a video. Medication
Timing and fluid intake should be individualized with your healthcare professional. Let's begin with one of the most common evening habits. Habit number 1, eating a very large meal too close to bedtime. Think about your typical evening. Maybe dinner happens late because the day was busy. You sit down around 8:30 or 9, eat a large meal, have something sweet afterward, relax on the couch, and then head to bed. It may feel completely normal, but the size and timing of your evening meal can influence several things that matter for cardiovascular health. After you eat, your digestive system becomes more active. Blood flow is redistributed to support digestion, and your body begins processing the carbohydrates, fats, and proteins in the meal. A particularly large or high-fat meal can also produce a substantial temporary rise in blood triglycerides and can contribute to discomfort, reflux, or poor sleep. And there is an important connection here. Poor sleep is not simply an inconvenience. Over time, inadequate or disrupted sleep is associated with several cardiovascular risk factors, including high blood pressure, metabolic problems, and unhealthy weight gain. That does not mean eating dinner at 8:30 automatically causes a heart attack. The real issue is the overall pattern. Large meals, heavy foods, excessive calories, alcohol, and immediately going to bed can create a poor environment for restful sleep. So instead of thinking, I can never eat after 7, think about a more realistic goal. Give yourself enough time between a substantial dinner and bedtime, whenever your schedule
allows. Try making your evening meal moderate rather than enormous. Build the plate around vegetables, a source of protein, and an appropriate portion of whole grains or other carbohydrate foods. And pay attention to foods that personally trigger reflux or indigestion. If you need a small evening snack, it does not have to be complicated. A modest portion of yogurt, fruit, or another nutritious option may be more comfortable than a large, heavy meal. The goal is not perfection. The goal is to avoid turning bedtime into the final stage of a very large eating episode. And there is another important benefit. When dinner is lighter and more comfortably spaced from bedtime, some people find it easier to sleep deeply and consistently. That brings us to the second habit, and this one involves something many people take every day. Habit number 2, changing medication timing without medical guidance. If you take medication for high blood pressure, you may have wondered, should I take this in the morning or at night? It is a reasonable question. Blood pressure follows a daily rhythm in many people. For many healthy individuals, blood pressure decreases during sleep and rises again around waking. But not everyone follows the same pattern. Some people experience less of a nighttime decline. Others may have blood pressure that remains elevated during sleep. Conditions such as sleep apnea, diabetes, kidney disease, and certain cardiovascular problems can influence these patterns. That is why medication timing should not be treated as a universal rule. You may hear some
Take your blood pressure pill at night. It works better. That advice is too simplistic. The best timing depends on the specific medication, your blood pressure pattern, side effects, other medications, and your individual health situation. For some people, taking certain medications at night may be appropriate. For others, morning dosing may be preferable. And for some medications, consistency at the prescribed time is more important than trying to follow a generic internet recommendation. So here is the practical step. At your next appointment, ask your doctor or pharmacist, what time should I take each of my heart and blood pressure medications, and why? If your blood pressure seems unusually high at night or in the morning, ask whether home monitoring or ambulatory blood pressure monitoring would be useful. And never skip a dose simply because you feel fine. High blood pressure is often called a silent condition because you may not feel anything when it is elevated. Your absence of symptoms does not necessarily mean your blood pressure is under control. The key lesson is simple. Do not experiment with prescription medication timing on your own. Discuss it with a professional who knows your medical history. Now, let's move to a nighttime problem that millions of people experience without realizing it could be affecting more than their sleep. Habit number 3, ignoring loud snoring and possible sleep apnea. Imagine someone tells you, you snore incredibly loudly. You might laugh. Maybe your partner has complained about it for years. Maybe you think snoring is simply part of getting older. But loud, persistent snoring can sometimes be a clue that your airway is narrowing during
Sleep. One possible cause is obstructive sleep apnea. During an episode of obstructive sleep apnea, the upper airway becomes partially or completely blocked. Breathing may stop or become severely reduced for a period of time. Then the brain responds by briefly increasing alertness and activating the body's stress response so breathing can resume. This can happen repeatedly throughout the night, and you may not remember any of it in the morning. That is one reason sleep apnea can be so difficult to recognize. You might believe you slept for 8 hours, but your sleep may have been repeatedly interrupted without your conscious awareness. Over time, untreated sleep apnea is associated with high blood pressure and an increased risk of cardiovascular problems, including certain heart rhythm disorders. It can also leave you exhausted during the day. So what should you watch for? Loud habitual snoring is one clue. Other signs can include waking up gasping or choking, morning headaches, dry mouth after waking, excessive daytime sleepiness, difficulty concentrating, feeling tired even after spending enough time in bed. And perhaps the most important clue of all, a partner noticing that you stop breathing during sleep. If any of these signs sound familiar, talk with your doctor. A sleep evaluation can determine whether sleep apnea is present, and if you are diagnosed, treatment can make a meaningful difference. Treatment may include positive airway pressure therapy, such as CPAP, depending on the individual case. Other approaches may include weight management, positional therapy, oral appliances, or treatment of nasal and airway problems. The important point is not that everyone
who snores has heart disease. They don't. The point is that persistent loud snoring plus breathing interruptions should not automatically be dismissed. Your bedroom can be quiet while your body is working extremely hard to maintain normal breathing. So if someone has been telling you for years that you stop breathing in your sleep, take that information seriously. Now let's discuss another evening habit, but this one requires a little more nuance than the popular advice you may have heard online. Habit number 4, restricting fluids too aggressively before bed. Many adults over 60 deliberately stop drinking fluids several hours before bedtime. There is an obvious reason. They do not want to wake up repeatedly to use the bathroom. Frequent nighttime urination can be frustrating and can interfere with sleep. But there is a difference between avoiding excessive fluids late at night and becoming dehydrated. Dehydration can affect blood volume, blood pressure, kidney function, and overall well-being. And older adults can be more vulnerable to dehydration because thirst perception may become less reliable with age. However, there is an important warning here. You should not automatically drink a large glass of water before bed just because someone on the internet told you it protects the heart. If you have heart failure, significant kidney disease, or another condition requiring fluid restriction, increasing your fluid intake could be harmful. This is one of those situations where individualized medical advice matters. For most people without a prescribed fluid restriction, the better strategy is to stay adequately hydrated throughout the day rather than trying to catch up at bedtime. Drink regularly during the daytime. Eat water-rich foods such as vegetables and fruit when appropriate. And if you repeatedly wake up to urinate several times every night,
do not simply solve the problem by refusing fluids all afternoon. Talk with your healthcare provider. Frequent nighttime urination can have many causes, including certain medications, diabetes, prostate problems, sleep apnea, bladder issues, or other medical conditions. Sometimes the problem is not too much water. Sometimes the nighttime bathroom trips are a symptom of something else that deserves attention. So rather than following a rigid rule, such as drink exactly 8 ounces before bed, think bigger. Stay appropriately hydrated during the entire day. Follow any fluid limits given by your medical team. And if nighttime urination is disrupting your sleep, investigate the reason instead of simply dehydrating yourself, because sleep quality matters too. And that brings us to the 5th habit. Habit number 5, sleeping in an environment that is too hot or uncomfortable. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night sweating? Maybe the room feels stuffy. Your blanket is too heavy. You throw it off, then pull it back on. You keep adjusting the thermostat, and the next morning you feel as if you barely slept. Temperature may sound like a minor issue, but comfortable sleep requires your body to regulate heat effectively. Your core body temperature naturally changes during the sleep period, and the environment around you can influence how easily you fall asleep and stay asleep. A bedroom that is excessively warm may increase discomfort and sweating, and can make sleep more fragmented. On the other hand, an extremely cold environment can also be uncomfortable, and may cause the body to respond by constricting blood vessels and increasing physiological stress. There is no magical thermostat setting that guarantees cardiovascular protection. Individual comfort matters. A reasonable goal is to keep your bedroom cool, comfortable, and well ventilated without making it excessively hot or cold. For many adults, something around 18 to 22 degrees Celsius may feel comfortable, but your ideal temperature can vary depending on clothing, bedding, humidity, and personal preference. Do not obsess over the exact number. Instead, ask yourself, am I waking up overheated? Am I sweating throughout the night? Am I shivering or uncomfortable? Am I waking repeatedly because the room feels unpleasant? If the answer is yes, experiment with bedding, airflow, clothing, and thermostat settings until you find a comfortable environment. Because improving sleep is not simply about feeling better the next morning. Consistently good sleep supports healthy blood pressure, metabolism, mood, and overall cardiovascular well-being. Your simple evening heart health routine. Now, let's put everything together. You do not need a complicated nighttime ritual. You do not need expensive supplements, and you certainly do not need to panic about every detail of your evening. Instead, create a simple routine that supports your overall health. Start with dinner. Whenever your schedule allows, avoid making your largest meal the final event immediately before bed. Choose a balanced meal and pay attention to portions. Then take your medications exactly as prescribed. If you are unsure about the timing of any medication, ask your doctor or pharmacist rather than changing it yourself. As the evening progresses, begin slowing down. A short, comfortable walk may be appropriate for many people.
You could read, listen to calming music, talk with family, or simply spend a few quiet minutes away from stressful news and endless scrolling. Then prepare your sleeping environment. Keep the room comfortable. Reduce unnecessary light and noise. Make sure your bedding allows you to stay cool enough to sleep comfortably. And if you snore loudly or experience possible breathing interruptions, make an appointment to discuss sleep apnea. Finally, think about hydration across the entire day. Do not intentionally become dehydrated simply to avoid one trip to the bathroom. But if your doctor has told you to restrict fluids, follow that instruction. This is what healthy aging really looks like. It is not about finding one secret trick. It is about stacking small, sensible decisions. One more thing you should never ignore. There is one message that matters more than all 5 nighttime habits combined. Do not ignore possible symptoms of a heart attack. A heart attack can cause pressure, squeezing, fullness, or pain in the center or left side of the chest. But symptoms can also include shortness of breath, unusual sweating, nausea, lightheadedness, or discomfort in the arm, shoulder, back, neck, jaw, or upper abdomen. Some people, particularly older adults, may have less typical symptoms. If you think you may be having a heart attack, do not wait to see whether the symptoms disappear. Seek emergency medical care immediately. Do not drive yourself if emergency services are available. And remember, a heart attack is not the same thing as cardiac arrest. A heart attack occurs when blood flow to part of the heart muscle becomes blocked. Cardiac arrest occurs when the heart suddenly stops pumping effectively. Both
are emergencies, but they are different conditions. Knowing that difference can help you recognize serious symptoms without relying on movie stereotypes. The 5 habits to remember. So let's make today's message easy to remember. Number 1. Do not make huge, heavy meals your bedtime routine. Give your body time to digest when practical, and focus on balanced meals. Number 2. Do not change medication timing on your own. Ask your healthcare professional whether your current schedule is appropriate. Number 3. Do not dismiss persistent loud snoring or nighttime breathing interruptions. Sleep apnea is treatable, and evaluation may be important for your overall health. Number 4. Do not intentionally dehydrate yourself. Stay appropriately hydrated throughout the day while following any fluid restrictions prescribed by your doctor. Number 5. Make your bedroom comfortable for sleep. Avoid an environment that is excessively hot, cold, bright, noisy, or otherwise disruptive. None of these habits guarantees that you will prevent a heart attack. No lifestyle video can make that promise. Heart disease is influenced by genetics, age, blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, smoking, physical activity, diet, sleep, stress, and many other factors. But the good news is that many of those factors can be managed, and you do not need to change everything tonight. Pick one habit. Maybe tonight you decide to stop eating an enormous meal immediately before bed. Maybe you finally ask your doctor about your blood pressure readings. Maybe you talk to your GP about partner about the possibility of sleep apnea. Maybe you improve your bedroom environment. Maybe you simply decide to take your prescribed medications more consistently. One good decision can lead to another, and another. That is how long-term health is built. Not through fear, not through miracle cures, but through informed decisions repeated consistently. If you are over 60, your evening routine is an opportunity, not something to fear. Use that opportunity to support your heart, protect your sleep, and pay attention to warning signs your body may be giving you. Your heart has been working continuously for decades. It deserves more than attention only when something goes wrong. Give it support every day, including during the quiet hours of the night. And remember, this information is educational and cannot replace personalized medical advice. If you have heart disease, high blood pressure, kidney disease, diabetes, sleep apnea, or take prescription medications, discuss major changes to your diet, fluid intake, exercise, sleep routine, or medication schedule with your healthcare professional. Take care of your heart, sleep well, and make tonight the beginning of one small, healthy change.